Hi, I'm Mitty,
And I'm Jack,
and this is Worldbuilding Wednesday, a series where we think about what we would do if we had control of a franchise, where we would take, say, a new season of a TV show or a new universe of a game.
or we just build our own worlds. But today we're looking at the highlight reel from our live stream on the Suicide Squad, and we're gonna be annotating it.
So we both saw the movie and had many different opinions.
Yeah,
We'll start in 3, 2, 1, now.
perfect. Okay, so we immediately were going through the list, trying to figure out what is required for a proper team. In this case, we analysed that the first person we would need is a leader, which we tossed and turned a little bit about, but ended up going for Ravager, who's a little bit underrated, doesn't get enough
Absolutely underrated. We'll talk a little bit more about her character when we get into her speed paint and design process.
stuff.
But for now, we were thinking we have a leader. The biggest thing for us is having a crew that fits together and works dynamically as a set of characters and as a team.
Yeah.
So we thought about like the 5-man band and some classic tropes of teams, and we also thought about what the setup would be for a world like this. What we would want from a Suicide Squad. Like, these are characters who are against their will put together, but they need more than that to, I think, carry on for a franchise. The movies sort of try and give them a third act where they're a team now. They've been through this thick and thin, and they're going to work together of their own will. While the some of the animated series, when a character gets the chance to escape, they immediately take the chance and bug out.
Yeah.
Which I think is a lot more realistic. So we were thinking about how we wanted to work around having a team that could grow together without it being kind of just out of nowhere and for no reason.
Yeah, and so we thought for one, we'd have the government being more of a sinister force and less of a singular person.
We've scrapped Waller completely. The idea of having a face of this shadowy organization rather than, hundreds of people who are all complicit in these horrible war crimes
Yeah.
was a lot better.
Yeah, so we immediately went, okay, so this is the team we went would be perfect for a government that is forcing them, more or less.
We wanted a team who considered before they were put together on a team. They are not just being thrown to their death because they are being given equipment, they want them to complete the mission. It's just they don't really have much of a say in it.
Yeah. So we chose Copperhead as the second one because we really like Copperhead.
We both love Copperhead. Copperhead, our beloved. We'll talk a lot more about her character when we get to that bit, but we thought she would be a good sort of foil for Ravager as a much more self-made, quite literally, villain.
Yeah.
Who's, like, they both kind of do similar things. They're both mercenaries, they're both assassins.
Of
sorts.
Yeah, Ravager's a merc, while Copperhead is an assassin.
Yeah, but she's also done assassin work.
Ravager?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's a difference of how they get it done, though.
Yeah. It's a slight difference of styles, but it's, like, both karate and kickboxing are MMA styles which involve kicks. They are...
True.
You wouldn't say that a karate fighter is a kickboxer, but they are, like, similar enough that someone who is untrained watching MMA would think they're the same thing.
Very true, very true.
So we went through our sort of 5-man band. So we have a leader, we have a foil who will challenge the leader. Then we thought we need a character who will act as the intelligence. And for a team like this, where they're kind of all highly trained and very good at what they do, so we've got, like, a heavy fighter, we've got people who are specialized in their area of assassination. So having someone who is, like, a gadget maker or, like, just a heavy intelligence, like, knowing about other people or science didn't really seem to fit. So we thought, in a world like this, probably magic would be the area that they would have the least knowledge about, so we needed a magician.
Yeah, and so that's when we decided to choose,
Black Alice.
Yeah, Black Alice.
We looked through a list of magicians in DC because there's so many magic users, and
Way too many.
Black Alice shined because it's a name that neither of us had seen before, and a character we had not encountered. And the last two members were Giganta as the powerhouse.
Yeah.
Because big lady.
And as much as we love King Shark, it didn't seem appropriate for him to be in this squad.
And at this point, we'd kind of settled because we got our first two, and then the third, we went, oh, this is a girl boss team.
Yeah, exactly.
The idea would be that they were all from the same prison complex.
Yeah.
In this universe.
Yeah. And then Harley, because of course Harley's in.
Harley is such a fixture of the Suicide Squad universe, so we decided on her. Like, we threw around a couple of ideas of who else could be the heart of the team, the glue that keeps them together. But Harley isn't just like hee funny clown who lightens up these very dark circumstances. She's also a fully trained psychologist.
Yeah.
Which we thought, with our kind of major theme going into this being the faults in prison systems versus rehabilitation systems, as you could argue that all of these characters are characters who have been failed by the institutions around them.
Yeah.
They are products of their upbringing, and we'll get more into it with each character origin.
Yeah, absolutely.
But speaking of which, let's start with Ravager.
Sure, okay. So, what research did you find out when you were drawing designs and stuff about Ravager?
So, originally when I went in and looked at original Ravager designs, there are a lot of big titty lady with white hair and who is sexy with Nightwing, and that's kind of it. I didn't like the majority of her designs. The ones I thought were good often riffed too much off of Deathstroke when her character in a lot of versions hates him and is trying to separate from him.
Yeah.
There were some cool other designs that, like, had her own thing with a lot more blue colors and stuff like that, but even then they were like, what if Chainmail was body tight? And I'm going, give her Kevlar.
Yeah, give her Kevlar, come on.
So for this I thought, okay, this is a character who has, in our version, been trained from a young age to do combat and stuff like that. A little bit of a antithesis to Nightwing still. We kind of like that setup of having Nightwing who is trained from a young age by Batman, but for ultimately good goals, versus her who is trained by her horrible dad for very bad reasons.
Yeah, and her horrible dad who also tries to train Nightwing numerous times.
Who goes, why couldn't you be more like Nightwing? And she's like, fuck you, Dad.
Fuck you, Dad, he's not even your child.
He's not even that great. I saw him, like, eat a burrito off the ground the other day.
Yeah.
But thinking about designs like that, I wanted to take her design away from Deathstroke. I liked the idea of her being Asian American. There's not much in her, like, canonical backstories to, like, go with that, but fuck it, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, this show is all about us building the world, so it doesn't matter too much. Just don't copyright strike us, DC, please.
DC can't get us because they can't find me. I'm too powerful.
Too powerful, too hidden.
So I played around with colors for a bit. The yellow will quickly disappear. But I liked the idea of her being a little bit sort of militant, very practical, very much based on, like, I think that a lot of the fun and comedy from a series like this would be her being kind of the straight man, like, very practical to the point, while everyone else is just kind of goofing and having a fun time.
Yeah, the serious team member.
So she's a bit of the serious one. I may have made her incredibly butch, and so, yeah, I'm fucking sticking with that. She lesbian, and I think that's wonderful for her.
Sure.
I also wanted to keep a lot of the eye patch and missing eye, because that, in a lot of versions, ties very heavily into her trauma. Like, in some it's that her father literally, like, slashed her eye, and in others it's like he abandoned her, and to show her devotion to the cause, she cut her own eye out to match him.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So I think that's definitely something we could work with and see in our universe, that it was a, like, either a training gone wrong thing, or it was Slade being an absolute dickhead.
And, you know, putting a lot of trauma on a child, but at this stage we're sort of imagining her to be at least in her late 20s.
Yeah.
She has lived a good few years of her own life away from her father's influence, and she is making herself a brand and stuff like that, but also she has only ever known violence. Her name is known by the government. She cannot get a normal job.
Yeah.
She cannot try to live on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. But the one bright side is that she does have this mercenary experience and is able to
Kick ass.
take names.
She is very good at what she does, and what she does isn't very nice.
Yeah, which also makes her an ideal leader for the government to go, this is the prime target for someone who we'd be able to manipulate, but also have as the head of the team. Someone who we can give, like, the promise of, oh, we can remove your record, we can clean the slate. However, that must mean at any opportunity you must be prepared to kill your squad mates or whatever. You have to get the mission done no matter what.
And we were thinking about the idea of her being this very practical character who is very cold and calculating, but a part of that is the fact that she is not letting anyone know what she is thinking and what she wants to do at any given time. So a part of that would be that from the very beginning she could be a character who's like, I'm not going to sacrifice people and kill them, I am going to do what it takes to stay alive.
Yeah.
Like, it is hard to tell what her motivations are and who she will side with, but ultimately, like, it's not really a matter of morality. I think it is more of, like, she just has her own set of morals and beliefs that aren't really influenced by the people around her.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can dig that.
Did some little outfit designs also. This is the only reference I did with a landscape format.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to end up reconfiguring it, but I kind of did like that as our protagonist I could give her a bigger reference sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say as our protagonist, but
yes.
all of them are kind of the protagonist in their own right.
We've spoken a little bit about our setup here, but we have a bit of time before this drawing is going to be done, so we can talk a little bit more about our universe that we've been planning here.
Okay, well, yeah, so from our plan, we were thinking it would be 2 or 3 teams. Well, we were originally thinking 2 teams, but the third one's more just popped into existence because of how chaotic it is.
We'll catch up to that third one later.
That's a whole nother recording that's going to happen in the future.
Yeah. But the thought with this series was to look at the Suicide Squad from 2 angles. One which is people being forced against their will to commit crimes for the government, which is very serious and should be taken seriously.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like something that really bothered me with the new movie. I really loved the cinematography, the acting, the scripting was infinitely better than the first one, and all of that. But a lot of the ending sort of themes were things like war crimes, it's better if war crimes are forgotten because that will protect the safety and, like, keep the peace. And things like that. And it, like, also the problem with having Waller as, like, the face of this government organization that is setting up the Suicide Squad is, within this movie and within a lot of the franchises, they make it that it is this corrupt and evil, aggressive black woman who is responsible for all of it, and everyone else is just going along with her because they're afraid of her.
Yeah, which is a bad look.
Which is
so
real
many
fucked
ways.
up.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Like, it is cool to have a black woman be in a position of power in your series. That is very cool and good. However, like, in a series where, like, yes, all of the characters in this series are villains, but like, there's a difference between a villain and an antagonist. The antagonist is the story's villain. A hero could be, like, a protagonist could be doing bad things and could be a bad person, but as the leader of the story, the antagonist is the ultimate bad.
Yeah, exactly. And so having that be the case, it's a good idea to shimmy away from that, which is what we plan to do with this.
Yeah.
And then the other team we had is, we won't discuss it too much in this video.
But the concept of, what if there was a Suicide Squad who was not forced together against their will? And we will look into that in our next sort of recording.
Yeah.
But the idea was that we would have these 2, like, squads of sorts, where one is, you know, doing missions of their own will, making their own rules, and the other is being forced and is ultimately trying to find a way out of the situation rather than complete the mission. And we wanted to explore what a series would look like if it was focusing on these two squads, like moving back and forwards between each, as their goals start off seemingly completely different and the missions they're doing seem to be completely unconnected, but ultimately in the end end them up in the same place.
Yeah, or a similar place. And then our third squad is revealed.
That's the Act 3 climax.
Act 3 climax. Hell yeah. Exciting. Okay. Yeah, so I think what you've done with Ravager looks really good.
I love her immensely.
Yeah.
These colors end up looking a lot darker on the final product than in my on my tablet, which I think is a problem with my contrast, but I'm actually pretty happy with how they turned out.
Yeah. It almost looks a bit like Night Armor. Was that what you were going for a bit?
A little bit. I thought that this is absolutely a character who would be a lot more stealthy, while not focused purely on, like, stealth kills like an assassin. I feel like this is a pragmatic character who goes, no, I would just always wear my stealth armor. Why would I wear anything else?
Yeah. Okay, fair.
And here I'm just working with some sort of comic styling of what, like, a title font would look like for her.
Yeah. Okay. Neat.
Ravager.
Yeah, here's Ravager. All right.
And now
cool.
onto Copperhead, my beloved.
Oh yeah, Copperhead's great. I really like a lot of adaptations of Copperhead because for those that don't know, Copperhead is, I guess. So Copperhead is a mixed bag of things.
Copperhead is a character who has existed in many different franchises, like within DC. A lot of the comics, a lot of the animations, and the games as well. But in every one, they are a very different character. In some of them, they are a person who, like, is a cultist and has a snake head on top of their head. And, like, I'm gonna put in some really goofy pictures into this final edit.
Yeah.
Of the, like, OG cartoon design.
But we'll also have the other ones that are already on screen being used.
Yes, the references I was looking at while I was creating this one. It took me a really long time to try and figure out, like, what I wanted for this character silhouette.
Yeah.
But yeah, the design our two favorite versions of Copperhead are the one from the Arkham games and the one from the Suicide Squad animated movie.
Yeah.
For different reasons. The animated movie one just because it's such a cool design.
Yeah.
And, like, the taking of the body mods in less of a mechanical way and more of, like, yes, these are still mechanical body mods, but these are so deeply ingrained in the person they cannot be removed.
Yeah.
And the the video game on the Arkham games, on the other hand, have a character who's much more based in the mecha aspect, who has, like, Talon gloves, and also canonically trans, which we fucking love.
Yeah, fucking great. Not used enough. I'm like, part of me goes, they need more representation from that. This is a good villain for that, because that isn't their one trope, is that.
Yep, there's a lot in the old sort of Brave and the Bold and things like that where they have characters who, real cringe, real upsetting, real looking back, but, like, there is a whole thing with villains being your queer characters that exists through history, and that is because of a thing called, the Hayes Law, where if you were to show LGBT characters in any way on screen or in books, you would have to make it very clear that they were evil or bad, or they would have to ultimately be punished at the end.
Yeah.
And that's why, even in the modern day, we have a lot of our LGBT characters being, or, like, our queer-coded characters being villains, because of, this is ingrained stereotypes, this is why we have that sort of flamboyant villain, like, stereotype and stuff. And there's also something to be said about trans people and making them into monsters in series. However, monsters are also cool as hell, and I am trans and can make the rules.
Yeah. So it's fair to go to, like, consider that we could have gone monstrous here. I liked it. Yeah. I was the one who argued really hard for us to make Copperhead more human in the end, just because I was like, I really don't like the look of super monsterfied, like,
especially
Copperhead.
as our major monster character.
Yeah.
So we went for a bit of a mix between both mecha and organic as sort of the themes for Copperhead. We went with sort of not really gauntlets, but like finger gauntlets,
Gloves.
stingers,
Stingers, okay.
which she would absolutely call her fangs.
Yeah.
We thought she would be a poison user, an assassin. The tail is detachable and mechanical and attached to a harness.
Yeah.
And is used just more as a distraction, because if people are looking at the tail whipping around, they are not looking at where your many hidden knives are.
Yeah.
We also, the two little divots on her cheek, I thought is a little nod into my favorite part of the animated version's character, which is the ability to unhinge the jaw.
Yeah. Yeah.
And while the character might not do that in this version, I liked the little nod.
Yeah, it's a good nod to it, which I think is bloody excellent.
I also did just directly steal the sleeve bits from the animated version with the little buttons, because I thought that would make sense for someone who is using talons.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely
You want to
does.
guard your wrist and keep your hands safe, but also you don't want that to mess with anything mechanical.
Yeah, definitely. And she'd definitely have to wash her hands frequently.
This is a character who has like 20 hidden knives on her person at all times, but also several bottles of like antiseptic and like
has to
antibacterial wash.
afterwards wipe her hands down like, fuck, god damn it spilt a bit on my palms. Shit.
Why isn't Copperhead here for the mission debriefing? She made herself sick and is lying down with a sore tummy.
She had a minor mistake earlier. What? She drank too much and now she has to lie down.
So, our idea with Copperhead being the lancer of the party, aka the foil to the leader, to the protagonist of sorts, is that Ravager is very much a product of her upbringing. She is a product of having been essentially trained from a young age to kill and to fight, and having her identity always known, never having the opportunity to be a normal kid.
Yeah.
While Copperhead has many different versions, whether it's cultist or like body mod enthusiast assassin.
Yeah. But the
But-
main thing is that Copperhead's always gotten to choose their body.
Copperhead is like ultimately of their own creation.
Yeah.
And we wanted to think about a character who is trans, so it is that sort of self-made person thing, but also is a character who has chosen their own way in life. And you could say many elements for like how society treats trans people and why someone may go into crime and when it is difficult to get like a normal job TM. But we could also say that her backstory is that she was just like, be gay, do crimes, I'm a contortionist, I can do crazy flips.
Yeah.
We wanted to keep it a little bit vague as to what her exact backstory is.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Copperhead's Copperhead, and in all things
Snake.
it's very interesting for, like, in a lot of cases, and a reason I liked the Arkham's take on it, they couldn't, like, figure out when she exactly started killing. And they were going like, oh, we've got like 18 different links to like murders by this, but this is like the image we've got under it, and
We don't know who this is or where they've come from. And you know what? Fucking goals.
Yeah, fucking goals is like the ability to adapt and to change and that kind of thing, which it's like, good on you.
In conclusion, I love Copperhead and would die for any version of them. But especially this one, I really had a lot of fun making this design.
Yeah, it definitely shows. It's really well done.
I, in a lot of these recordings, actually forgot to shade the characters, so I think Copperhead might be the last one with shading we're gonna see for a while.
That's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's like improvement for later.
We were also talking about the characterization of Copperhead, because Copperhead has been a very different character in different, like, versions. And we want to make her a lot more human than in some of the other versions. Like, the animated one is very, like, acts inhuman. And
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy that character, but I don't think it's right for this version.
Yeah, I like a little bit, and I've been thinking more on it, and I was kind of like, I like the Hitman vibes. Like Agent 007.
Agent 47. I'll
Agent
kill you.
47. Agent 47.
Agent 47 would kill James Bond without hesitation.
Oh, I hope he would.
In an instant. James Bond would be like, oh, you're gonna put me in the Bond Wiggler, or oh, you're gonna like tell me your evil plan, and Agent 47 would be like, what evil plan? I'm going to kill you. He doesn't have an accent, but he does to me.
Doesn't have an accent. He's very like neutral.
This was also where I decided on the formatting for the rest of the character Fs.
Yeah, fair. So yeah, I was like thinking more of like a Hitman vibe with the ability to change and adapt, but like maybe behind all of that, you know, they are human and they are like, oh yeah, no, hey, it's good to socialize every now and then. I normally don't, mainly because I'm out killing.
Some of my favorite, like, things with Hitman is when the Hitman TM is acting like a person, like, when he has a fake identity, like the drummer bit.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I just freaking love it's just, oh, I have all of these talents that I don't usually get to put on display. And I'm going to lean very hard into the act when I am given the opportunity.
Yeah, and so that's partially what I wanted, like, what I was thinking with Copperhead. As well as that, like, we were also going, like, found family,
with our whole crew here, we were thinking, this is a squad who at the very beginning, all of them are trying to survive, and that is it. But they all have something in common, which is that the prison/rehabilitation system has failed all of them.
Yeah, and not just rehabilitation. I just think all systems have kind of failed them throughout their life.
And, like, we're not going to go exactly into... I think Copperhead will be the character who, like, the other characters have a hard time with, because the other characters are a lot of characters who have been known for a long time. Their backstories are known by other mercenaries and by the public, and Copperhead just kind of comes out of nowhere. We did also discuss the idea of Copperhead, as in the Arkham version, kind of like, only recently being out as a trans woman, and only recently, like, presenting as feminine, and, like, that being kind of a disconnect where, like, the other villains and heroes and things do not know this person at all.
Yeah.
And they never have, and I really like that, and, like, we also discussed Copperhead being a little bit the flirty one of the team and the charismatic one.
Yeah.
Which is very fun when you then take it with the I'm a snake and have 20 poisoned knives at all time, but also I'm just kind of fun and friendly and you don't expect it and it's a little bit intimidating.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think is absolutely fine and funny.
I really love that characterization.
And I think it's like, it comes out more mainly because she's aware of the situation she's in now. She's aware that she's wanting to find an escape from this current system. And that's kind of what puts her at, like, a good Lancer territory with Ravager, is she is constantly looking at, like, for minor ways in which she can break out.
She is the one who is doing little acts of rebellion to see how far she can get from, like, being collared, like how far she can escape from the government, etc. Which is very bad for the leader who has to keep this team in order.
Yeah, exactly.
So with these designs and the little chibi outfits, the idea was the big outline character ref would be the costume that they use when they are doing their acts of villainy or acts for the government, which kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Villainy. And then the two little outfits would be one casual wear and two formal wear, just because the idea of them going undercover into a fancy party is fun.
Yeah, absolutely true.
So here we're just finishing up Copperhead with, like, the face-up ref. Copperhead, my beloved, I give you a smooch.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Well done. Yeah, that looks incredible, Mitty. You absolutely
I love
knocked it out.
Copperhead so much. I would die for any version, but especially her.
Oh,
Now we're into Black Alice.
Yep, now we're into Black Alice.
So, Jack, you originally found Black Alice and you read a couple of the backstories. Would you like to tell me what you found and what sparked us on this character initially? And then I'll tell you what, like, made me want to make this version of the character in the drawings.
So, yeah, when we were originally looking up who we would have on the team, we went, oh, we should get a magical character. And I originally looked up top 10 magical villains in DC. And she was at number 3, which immediately took me back because I was going like, I don't think I've ever seen her.
Who dis?
Who is this? This is like a name I've never seen, and not only is it in the top 10, it's number 3. And that's kind of what sparked me into going like, hey Mitty, have a look at this character. I think we should do something with this. Also, just because it looked like from the photos, it looked pretty bad.
Yeah, a lot of the OG designs, the ones I picked out as my references were the ones I could tolerate.
Yeah.
A lot of them were, this is a goth tween with pigtails. It was kind of a fucked up Alice in Wonderland design.
Yeah, which I guess it makes sense with the name and stuff, but
Yeah.
like in hindsight, it's a bit outdated now, so it's a good idea.
A lot of teen crime. I feel like the teen crime teenagers probably shouldn't be going into like normal villain prisons, and maybe there should be more figuring out, why have you committed crimes, teenager?
Yeah, but at the same time, if they have this level of like ability and power, where to an extent they are able to steal powers from some of the strongest magic users and then use them, it makes sense with how the government would immediately put a lock on that and go, nah, we can't have you out and about able to...
We can't have you just kind of existing in a normal life with the, like...
Yeah.
We can't have a child with a nuke.
Yeah, basically. And we wanted to go with more of an anarchist kind of vibe, did we?
We wanted to go with a big anarchy vibe. Although not the lancer of the team, this is our character who most outwardly is anti everything they're doing.
Yeah.
This is also the youngest character on our team. We didn't want her to be like an actual like child. This is like, they're not sending children on these missions, but she is the youngest on the team, probably between 19 and 21. So compared to the rest of the party, who are all above their late 20s, is the baby of the party.
Yeah, absolutely. I can agree with that.
And we were thinking within that this is a character whose crimes are not repeated, and like it is more one big crime of passion or planning to do many crimes rather than a history of criminal activity.
Yeah.
So we looked into a couple of the backstories, and a lot of them are... I'm keeping that sound in.
Yeah.
The one that I found that I could tolerate the most was like that she has a really like horrible traumatic life where her mother died of an overdose of like these prescription drugs that were getting peddled around the town, and with like sort of occult reasoning, she's like, right, I'm gonna get these magic powers and I'm gonna find all the people involved in that and take them down and make them pay. It is vigilantism. She is trying to be a good guy in her own eyes, but like she is stopped by the birds of prey, and I'm like, I think actually these characters would have helped her.
Yeah, in hindsight, they absolutely
In a lot
should
of other versions of these characters, they would have been like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
It is the fact that her powers come from stealing the powers of others. I think that is...
Yeah. How long does she steal them for? Do they get it back?
There are different versions. In some of them, she takes the power and they don't lose it. It is not like a... in
so
some
it's-
versions, she
It's
can
like
just
copying.
copy.
Oh,
And in
okay.
other versions, it is that she drains and steals magic and then can use it herself.
Okay.
We much prefer that version, but not like specifically like I'm going to steal the powers of a specific person. Although she could do that, it is also like I really liked the idea of her discovering her powers in this universe through like in high school doing like those like high school witch rituals where, you know, everyone gets the Ouija board, everyone like collects the moon water and does like a, you know, brews some tea with a crystal to make you smarter. And
Yeah.
like they never work. But in this universe, it is specifically because she is draining the power from those rituals, and that is how she discovers, oh, I have magic draining and using abilities.
Okay, yeah, no, I can agree with that. That's cool.
So we were thinking also, like, as the intelligence of the team, she is the one who knows about magic, she is the one who is able to manipulate magic, so she is finding inventive solutions to problems.
Yeah.
She probably doesn't have a lot at her disposal. Like, I imagine that the government foundation that is responsible for putting this team together would have her steal magic from other criminals they have locked up who are unsuitable for the program.
Yeah.
So she's not really able to pick and choose what she is working with.
I also like with the book design and how we've got that whole copying like thing as well. I like the concept of her being able to, once she's drained like magic or something and used it a couple of times, she might be able to replicate it in her own way.
Homebrew.
Yeah.
I really love that idea. I love the idea of it being a science to her where she's like, okay, your power works like this. I have felt how your power feels in my body. To replicate it, I need more energy, I need more XYZ.
Yeah.
And like, she treats it like very seriously like that. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, it being something where like once she's experienced someone's magic a couple of times, she's able to figure it out.
I love her immensely, which I will be saying just all through these goddamn videos.
Yeah,
Fucking
you
villains are good.
Yeah, you spend so much time drawing them too, so obviously you'd end up.
I have feelings. But yeah, we were thinking Black Alice also is like this character who, like, in our version, we might keep sort of the backstory of her wanting to make drug peddlers pay. Arguably a good goal. Imprisoned because she has too much power, and, like, it is still kind of like a murder bad thing, where, like, she doesn't have the same morality as your Batmans, etc. But there are still plenty of vigilantes in, like, many universes who she is on equal footing with. She is the same as a Red Hood.
Yeah,
for example.
Exactly.
So she
only difference is one of them has a rich dad.
Only difference is one of them has a rich dad. And's a dude. But we were thinking that also, like, as the magic user, she is the squishiest on the team. She is not the one who is fist fighting. She has no formal martial arts training. If it ends up that she's in close combat, she's just gonna die.
Well,
she'll do some magic and stuff, but she'll just, like, get king punched once and then lie down for the rest of the battle.
Yep, try to avoid it.
So, like, she's the one who, like, her outfit is not suited for doing crime stuff, but also they can't really, like, she's like, no, this is what I need to work, this is what I need to align my chakras, and she's just speaking absolute bullshit, but they'll let her do whatever she wants because she's good with magic.
Yep, absolutely true.
So yeah, she is also a character who, like, has not been in the system for very long. She is, as one of the younger characters, like, even if she started her crimes in her teens and has recently moved up to adult prison and so has started this program, like, she is kind of the newest to it all, and with that we kind of have an entry point to the other characters who, like with Harley, have been in and out of prison so much.
Yeah.
This is a character who's very anti-police and also probably doesn't view herself as a villain.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the, no, I thought it was going to be a no eye there, so, like, no oversight or something.
Originally, that's what I was thinking. Also, her badge says, your mum, because I reckon this is a character who would be just incredibly foul-mouthed.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to be expected for someone who's been in the...
Yeah.
Like...
Had a traumatic backstory that has then led you into prison, even though there are plenty of vigilantes out there who have done the same shit you have done.
But haven't, well, I mean, in a lot of cases haven't been caught. But with the ones who have, they've
who,
never...
like, yeah, the court might want to get, but the other heroes support them, and that's the issue.
Yeah.
Is that heroes stopped you from enacting your revenge, and they just kind of turn a blind eye to when other vigilantes do it.
Yeah. Absolutely true.
So yeah, Black Alice is kind of, and here's where I forget the shading exists, kind of our youngest character, kind of our most volatile character, but also our smart character, our character who's really inventive.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very, fun... Like, I say volatile, but I don't think she's an aggressive character.
Yeah, I would also agree with that.
I think this is a character who might be a lot more deadpan and willing to speak her mind, but, like, she's not... Like, I reckon that smartness does come a lot in self-preservation. She is not going to make big enemies. Yeah. She's not going to suck up to the police, but she's also very mindful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I gave her a casual, kind of more punk gothy outfit, and then I went, no, you know what? She should be high goth. I'm going to make, like, a full-on, like... almost gothic Lolita fashion outfit for her formal appearance.
Sure.
I also did very much enjoy the hair in some of the versions, where it's kind of like two fans / devil horns at the back. It's a really good style.
Yeah. Absolutely true. Alright. So we've talked about magic, we've talked about her ability, or what we'd have it programmed as. We've talked a little bit about backstory.
We could talk a little bit more about our themes.
Our themes.
With the whole kind of prison versus rehabilitation thing.
Okay.
Like, we're doing that as we go through characters about how each of them fits into this prison system and how the Suicide Squad is, like, morally reprehensible and, like, this is super fucked up beyond, like, the versions where it's like, oh, we're sending serial murderers to do these jobs and stuff like that. It is kind of just like, this is bad for the people involved, this is bad because it is risks to the public.
Yeah.
This is bad for so many reasons.
Absolutely. And it all goes back to, like, the prison system in DC always having that...
It's
like,
always flawed.
It's always flawed. And which, in some ways, I actually like.
It explains why there's so many villains.
Yeah, but it also, like, reflects well with, honestly, some of the current real-world prison systems. And it's ahead of its time in that way.
Yeah, it is, upsettingly, disturbingly close to real-world stuff in a lot of cases. Like, recently I was looking into the Batman Begins movie and stuff like that, and it is upsettingly prison state and, like, prison pipeline. Like, they talk about how the Harvey Dent, like, a direct quote, I think, is something along the lines of, the Dent Law Act has sent thousands of criminals, like, insert name of very bad criminal, to jail without chance of parole. Now, like, the Falcone is the criminal they're talking about here. Yes, that's a very bad person who should not be, like, out and about. He should be in prison for his whole life. He has done horrible murders and orchestrated huge crimes. But, like, the thing is, when you say men like Falcone and you're talking about thousands of people, it is hugely reductive of a bigger issue. It is hugely demonizing. Like, you can talk about, like, oh, these aren't people, these are monsters. But no, everyone has the capability of doing very bad things, just as everyone has, like, the capability of being in bad situations.
Yeah.
This isn't saying we should forgive, like, people, specifically Falcone. This is saying that if you are indiscriminately throwing people in jail without the chance for parole, that's fucking bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely true. But, like, I do have to admire and respect, like, some of that they put in. Not all of it.
When they are specifically, like, making commentary on it, and when they are being like, yeah, this is fucked, this is why people are escaping Arkham every series, and, like, no one can be kept in prison, and why having Harley Quinn, like, a psychologist in these prisons doesn't work, because we aren't actually considering the people inside. This is just, throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, absolutely. And that seems to, like, have been the go-to goal with many of these. And with many of the criminals, it's less about rehabilitating and more about trying to keep them there, which leads to them escaping faster.
And also leads to villains like Hugo Strange, who are like, there is no oversight of these villains. No one gives a shit about them because they do, like, crazy villainy crimes where it's outside of real world, like, a mugging, or, like, violent crimes, or non-violent crimes. There's plenty of white-collar crimes, and, like, God, drug possession in general is a whole subject.
Yeah.
Like, who has that power over these people and can do whatever the fuck they want and experiment on people, and, like, it is that lack of oversight, it is the lack of care, it is the lack of understanding
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
we are kind of choosing to focus on here. We are looking at what makes a Suicide Squad possible, and what a world and a prison system has to look like to have something like this. And, like, in the real world, we have things like where, you know, prisoners are being used as free labor. It is literal slavery. It is finding ways to make slavery legal. It's like, oh, you've been sent to prison for possessing drugs that now in, like, many areas are legal to have.
Yeah.
You are now going to work and do physical labor.
For, like, 50 years. Yeah.
For 50 years, for, like, $2 a day.
Yeah. And that's all because you were caught with 30 grams of weed or something.
And we also can't, like, mention this topic without talking about, like, how racist it all is, and how it is, like, a system that specifically targets minorities.
Yeah.
Like, there is so much there. We didn't want to do a Suicide Squad where it is, we are focusing on villains, but, like, this is a, like, superhero series focusing on villains, and isn't that cool? We are talking about, like, this is a superhero series focusing on villains who are our heroes,
Yeah.
how do we get here?
Yeah, how do we
Like,
get
what is the reality of the situation?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of our theming and what led us to wanting to make two squads. One who is, you know, unwillingly being put in horrible situations, and the other which is, like, we will get more into, where they are purposefully putting themselves, like, they are doing bad things for a good outcome.
And then the cheeky third one.
And then our cheeky third act twist.
Yeah, the third act twist. Alright, and that's Black
Yep.
Alice.
We are finishing up here. I think I do a little logo, but I'll probably just speed through it.
Yeah. Okay. You've done really well with this one too. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Also, like, so many villains, like, their backstory is, I'm an orphan, or I had shitty parents, like, and had a really terrible upbringing. I think there is also something to say about, the foster care system and abusive parents and a lack of, like, care for children that leads people to crime.
Yeah.
That, like, you can't, like, excuse all crime in existence by saying, oh, but they had a bad childhood, or something like that. But
Yeah.
I think there is absolutely something to be said about, like, if there were better conditions for children, we would see lowering in crime.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Oh, Giganta, my beloved!
Okay, so there's,
A lot to say about this lovely one.
yeah, it's unfortunate.
So let's start with the first unfortunate thing, and then I'll go on to the second unfortunate thing. Would you like to start with, like, when we found this character, looking into the backstories?
Oh, yeah, the backstories. Oh, well, first things first, we, when we originally looked up Giganta,
It was because she's featured in a lot of other series, but only ever as a super background
Yeah.
character. Like, she's in the new Harley Quinn series, but specifically doing the joke like in the old Powerpuff Girls where you don't see the face of the tall lady.
yeah, absolutely. But, like, it was interesting to look into it and find out that, a lot of it is that, like, for something that seems like an interesting character that is a bit reminiscent of Ant-Man, except instead of like being able to get bigger and smaller, it's I can only get bigger and like increase my mass and then reset to my original size, which is interesting.
There's a lot to be said about, like, you are generating mass from nothing, and
Yeah.
this isn't a character who in a lot of versions will then get small and be like, oh, I'm so tired from, like, making all this mass, it's done a crazy stuff into my adrenaline. No, she's like, nah, I just do this shit on the reg.
Yeah, but then our first issue comes up, which is the original backstory has her being a genetically altered gorilla.
And in a lot of them it is, a gorilla made by a mad scientist character. There's a couple of different characters who have a play in the origin story. Often it's like, the gorilla fell in love with that character, or like, they made a gorilla to be their perfect supervillain wife, and it's like, what the fuck?
And then there was the almost current one, which had
The one that was so close to being good, which is, this is a woman with a blood disease who went, hey, Wonder Woman, can I please have some of your blood to, like, try and, like, stop my blood disease from killing me? And Wonder Woman said no, in a way like Spider-Man with the Green Goblin was like, my blood is super radioactive / weird, it will fuck up your body, you don't know what you're doing, I'm doing this to try and protect you. But this person's like, well, I have been given no other method or, like, choice, so I'm going to make a plan to kidnap Wonder Woman that works, take her blood, and get fucked up by it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but not just get fucked by
Not
it.
just...
They threw a gorilla in.
they threw a gorilla in again, and we're like, what? Get rid of the gorilla.
Get rid of the
Get
gorilla.
rid of the gorilla. The gorilla sucks.
Yeah, if they got rid of the gorilla, they would have fixed it.
It would have been a perfect story.
Yeah.
So we have decided with our version, she likes monkeys. That's it. They're her
Yeah.
favorite animal. She has one on a keychain. That's it.
Yeah, that's all we're getting with the...
She plays Winston in Overwatch. That's it.
Yeah, that's all the gorilla-themed stuff that's coming with this character, because we went, nah, there's no...
Instead, we decided, okay, with this latest version, this is a character who, without superpowers, managed to kidnap Wonder Woman, managed to, like, take her blood and do these crazy experiments. This is a character who's actually very smart, and then immediately everyone's just like, big lady,
Yeah,
and that becomes, like,
big, strong
character.
lady.
This is a character who is underestimated because everyone just looks at her and goes big and strong and angry, and that's it.
Which goes well with our team of
Yes.
everyone smart in their own, like,
These are all
specific
characters
area.
who are viewed for their specific strength and seen as nothing else.
Yeah.
And what is very actually dangerous about them is being underestimated solely for that strength.
Yeah, and they're all their hyper-intelligence. So this is entirely a squad that will break out of the government's chain in, like, the final act.
And wreak the most havoc because, hey, they're friends who care about each other now, but also they're very scary.
Yeah. Or, well, most or second most havoc.
We will talk when we get there. But, no, I really enjoyed them doing the most havoc. I enjoyed the team that up to this point had to put up with the most shit being like, nah. But
Well, yeah.
we'll get there.
Yeah.
But Giganta we had a lot of feelings about. So basically we're kind of building a lot of her from the ground up personality-wise. Backstory, we borrowed a lot from that Wonder Woman story because, one, that gives her a reason to hate Wonder Woman beyond a lot of the other versions, which is like, she's a monkey that hates Wonder Woman.
Hates Wonder Woman because the scientist that the monkey loves is, just loved Wonder Woman.
It's like,
It's
what are you saying about women and also everything?
Yeah.
But we thought, okay, this is a version who goes, you offered me no chance at egress. Like, I understand now because your blood did kind of fuck me up and now I got supervillainy powers. Which, as we're seeing this drawing here, like, something I chose to focus on was, athletic splints and bracewear. Because I thought it would be interesting to pop in the idea of this not just being a, wow, you cured my blood poisoning and also now I have superpowers. There are negatives. This is paying a tax on her body.
Yeah.
And so we also thought about a lot of the versions saying that she can change her, like, size and mass independently. So the thought that she could stay her regular size, but, like, increase her mass to become, like, super heavy or some stuff like that. We wanted to experiment with that and think that this is a person who is very smart and knows a lot, like, has probably, after gaining these powers, experimented a lot with them.
Yeah.
And figured out, like, kind of the best way to use them with the least tax on her body.
Yeah.
This is also the character who hates, like we thought, heroes the most. Who thinks that heroes could do a lot more for society if they weren't just running around punching people.
Yeah, absolutely. And is definitely one of those people who goes, like, there could be so much more to this.
Yeah, I'm doing crimes, and I will fully accept that I am a villain, but also, like, I don't think that means heroes are good.
Yeah. She's honestly someone who would probably fit well with the second team as well.
If she was outside of this, our second team, which is characters doing bad things for a greater good, would very much welcome her. But as it is, she is kind of the character who is underestimated both by the government that puts her on this team as the heavy hitter, as just the big fighter who does a lot of damage, and her own team in the beginning. This is the character who gets overlooked.
Yeah.
This is the character who everyone just goes, she is big and strong, and that is it.
Yeah.
We also liked the idea of, like, not just having our muscle-bound character be kind of the default angry character. Everyone on this team is angry. They are all dealing with horrible stuff. But, like,
Yeah, we kind of, like, wanted the idea of, like, Team Mom, more or less.
yeah, we wanted to move her a lot more away from, like, the angry woman who hates other women for no reason stereotype that a lot of her versions have. We also wanted to consider, like, her being the oldest in this team, maybe, and wanting to take care of the other members a lot, and, like, as a character who, like, is fully accepting of her own villainy, but also is able to see how she got to this point. Outside of, like, a woe is me lens, but more of a, like, this is how I got here, this is what happened to make me me. And also looking at what made each of these other characters them.
Yeah.
This is a character who comes in, like, at the beginning and isn't just, like, the police are a messed up system, the heroes are a messed up system, but is all of the systems are messed up.
Yeah.
Like, these are all meant to keep the peace for specific people. I've had a lot of luck in my life. I am a white woman. There is no way we were going to make the muscle character the, like, main character of color.
Yeah.
That is the one thing I was like, okay, a lot of her Giganta designs could have been worse.
Yeah, absolutely. especially like, and that's kind of what I was afraid about a while back with the whole gorilla theme and that kind of stuff.
There are some very upsetting connotations.
Yeah, that it could have been, but then they didn't go with, which made me go,
Thank God. You know what? Maybe it's okay that she's a busty redhead.
Yeah, maybe it's okay that they had that as the character traits. That's fine. Please don't.
But also, among that, we decided to actually make her muscular, which a lot of the other ones were too cowardly to do.
Yeah.
Because, like, listen, even if, like, her thing is that she gets very big and that allows her to do a lot of damage, like, it's... Like, she has to take care of her body in general, like, to, do a lot of the shit she's doing. And also, like, getting big does not solve every problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, like, she gets big proportionally.
Yeah.
So, like, if she's super muscular small, getting big just makes her all the more dangerous.
I also just love the concept that she got big specifically to kidnap, like, Wonder Woman. Before that point, wasn't particularly yoked, was just, like, a normal-looking scientist. Proceeds
she
to
had
get
a training
the
montage.
fuck yoked up, kidnaps Wonder Woman.
And, like, something also to take is that this is a person who, has struggled with chronic illness.
Oh,
like,
hey, you're doing
believably.
shading again.
Yeah, I remembered shading here. Who, like, presumably has been struggling with chronic illness her entire life. Who, like, had a debilitating blood disease. Who, like, was terminally sick.
Yeah.
And, like, so having a healthy and fit body is, like... And a body that is able to run around and, like, literally kick a building down is a big deal for her. Like, although she's a criminal now, she's probably having a bit of a good time with it. She's like, society has failed me. I made myself. I'm having a fun time.
Yeah. No, I can dig that. And I think we've done really well with the design for her.
I also think that her and Harley are the two who are like, we need universal healthcare now. All you billionaires out there making all your shit, what are you doing? There is no moral excuse for being a billionaire. We're going to kidnap Bruce Wayne to bully him.
I also think that, like, Bruce Wayne, if she ever found out, like, the truth, she would be like, I'm gonna go kill fucking Bruce Wayne right now, puts gloves
I'm going
on.
to attack and get him. And yes, everyone can say, but Bruce Wayne will donate, like, a lot of money to institutions, and he does do stuff like that. He is a philanthropist. There is no moral excuse for being a billionaire.
Yeah.
There is such a huge difference between millionaire and billionaire.
Yeah.
Like, it is, like... Nah, dude, you could be doing so much more in any version, and it, like, yes, he's doing his best. He is a person with incredible trauma as well.
Yeah.
And like, I think we should be focusing him on as a funny man.
Yeah.
But I also want everyone to bully him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I do love a lot of the versions that just, like, go on about how, although he, you know, claims that he's better and all of that, a lot of his, like, proteges, like, the Robins, do realize that he is flawed still.
he is a flawed individual who needed more therapy than this.
Yeah.
This is not therapy, Bruce.
Yeah. Punching villains is not therapy, Bruce.
And, like, there are a lot of very good versions of Batman, like the old animated series where he genuinely cared about the villains, and, like, there were a lot of times where he didn't, like, defeat the problem by fighting them. Like, there's one episode of the old The Batman animated series, the is important, where he was fighting a villain named Babyface, who is a woman with proportional dwarfism, who has struggled her entire life, who, like, was an actress and, like, has had a very, like, rough time of it and is very mentally unstable because no one has ever, like, seen her as an adult. She can't have any, like, compelling relationships, and she's, like, lost her job and had a very, like...
Did they change Babyface? Because I think in Brave and the Bold they made...
Oh, no, I meant Baby Doll. Babyface is a, like, big man with the face of a baby who is entirely unrelated to Baby Doll.
And who's, like, a mafia... Yeah.
Who's a mafioso with Ladyface, who is a whole subject.
Yeah, I love Babyface. Babyface is great. But you threw me off there because you said Babyface and then described Baby Doll, and I'm sitting here going like, oh... I don't remember Babyface. Was Babyface trans?
No. Baby Doll is a character who I love very much, and I love her episode because the end of the episode is like, yes, she did kidnap the other stars of the television show that she was fired from, to like try and make them make the show forever.
Yeah.
The end is not Batman like fighting her in any capacity. It is him like saving the hostages, getting her alone, and when like
is that the one where she's on the swing?
No. That is a different character who I'm going to get to in a minute, because it's a similar thing where he shows characters forgiveness and kindness, and they turn themselves in because he stands there and listens and talks to them as they go through their very big trauma, and in the end they kind of go, yeah, no, I don't want to be evil, I don't want to do bad things, I am having a very bad time, and he's like, okay, I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
And that is my favorite version of the Batman. In this same series, it was the Justice League series.
Yeah.
There is a character who is on a team of villains who are doing bad things. She is the most powerful member of this team because her power is reality warping, and it is very specifically killing her. And the rest of this team is taking advantage of her to do this. She does not understand what is going on. And the series, like, spoilers for like this series and this episode, but it ends not with Batman defeating her to stop her reality warping from ending Gotham. It ends with him sitting on a swing set with her as she, like, thinks about how she never had a chance to have a childhood or to live. And it is him staying with her as she dies. And it is hideously sad, but incredibly good as a character beat and a character moment to talk about how, his biggest power isn't that he runs around and like the versions that are like, what if Batman had a gun? Forget what made Batman good, which is his ability to have compassion.
Well, the Batman with a gun thing is the Flashpoint one, which I like because it's an entirely different
Yes, that
character.
is a different Batman. That's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Justice League movies, where he's like, I'm going to run into a guy with a car, and also I do have guns.
Yep, fair. I thought you meant the Flashpoint Paradox one, which I really like because it is the whole difference of...
No, that's Thomas Wayne. We don't speak about Thomas here.
Yeah, Thomas Wayne, who, it takes a whole different story when your wife and child are killed in front of you. And you're a fully grown adult, and yeah, you still have a lot of money, but in this situation, you are 100% gonna go the path of things.
You are already 40.
His wife doesn't die.
No, she becomes Joker-fied because their son is murdered in front of them.
Yeah, so they both have different reactions. She becomes the Joker.
I love Joker-fied, Martha Wayne.
Yeah, that was an experience. I liked that movie a lot, but that's its own can of beans.
That is a can of beans that we are not going to get into. We are finishing up on our most lovely Giganta here.
Yeah.
I say this for every single character. I have so many feelings. I love her.
Yeah.
Listen, she is a very smart and accomplished woman, but also she's very big, and I love that for her.
Yeah. No, I also love what you've done with the logo there.
Yeah, I wanted to get the color palettes somewhere, but I wanted them to be more interesting than just, like, little dots.
Yeah.
So I gave her G's.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to give her a monkey theme as she doesn't have any other symbolism.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you go with... is this what you're putting the name in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I was going like, I see the 3 G's, but where's the name? Oh, okay.
Doesn't Giganta only have 2 G's?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I'm liking what you're doing with, like, the colours and the shaping for it.
Yeah, I wanted to imagine if they were, like, you know those pages in comics where they introduce a character and it's like, oh my god, and then it says their name in, like, the big title font?
Yeah, yeah.
That is one of my favorite tropes, and I wanted to imagine what each of their title fonts would kind of look like, although in a couple of them I just did the exact same font because I'm lazy.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Borderlands, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's Giganta, my beloved.
Yeah, well done.
And
okay.
now we get to the clown.
The final one, Harley.
I love the clown. So Harley is so deeply tied to the Suicide Squad franchise, and Harley is a character who has had many different versions, but a lot of them in recent years especially are, like, very similar. She's gotten a much more detailed character than the other characters we have been looking at.
Yeah, so she's, in comparison to the other ones that we chose for this team, she is one who's had so much information and had so much like fleshing out as a character, and is one of the most fleshed out and
She is a character who is much more arguably a hero at this point than a villain.
yeah, definitely, and in certain iterations way more. Like the Injustice universe, which with that movie coming out,
yeah.
I'm so excited. Sorry.
I am very much hoping that they're going to do what they did with Harley in the game.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's going to be great.
Because that might be my favorite Harley of all versions. There are a lot of good clowns, but clown mob boss Harley, who realizes that she really does not need the Joker, but because he's dead, like, is able to, like, actually take control of the clown organization and is, like, doing a lot of shit. I love that version.
Yeah, and her goons are actually like...
Her goons love her.
Yeah, her goons are like, oh, this is so much fucking better.
I like that Miss Quinn doesn't just shoot us in the face for nothing.
Yeah.
For a funny joke. It's not funny.
It's...
What's the punchline?
It's really good, because the comic that released after the first game, so where it follows lots of the plot lines, being that the new Joker comes in, tries to take the role of the previous Joker, doing so by
And
usurping
goes like,
Harley.
oh, there's a Harley here. Cool, I can get my foothold because I can just make her do whatever I want.
And she starts immediately going like, no, this isn't good. This isn't...
I have some trauma with you, and, like, a part of me misses you and is, like, happy to see you alive, but also, like, I have had enough distance and, like...
enough time to realize this is...
Although I probably haven't had therapy, I can kind of a little bit do my own therapy at this point.
Yeah, and this isn't what I want. Like, there was a time that I enjoyed being around you, but that isn't the case anymore. And I think it's specifically because he starts, like, treating the goons as, like, dispensable, that she starts going, no, I'm not cool with this anymore.
And I also really do love, like, the goons that are like, no, we're sticking with Miss Quinn.
Yeah, and it ends up being like, you know, the people who are like, oh, well, we were always in it for the Joker, fighting the loyalists to Harley who are fucking crazy cool and do all, like, the things like trapping all of them in a building with them, pulling out their fucking fists, getting ready for a fist fight. And it's just these three dudes who are like, we're the Harley loyalists, bring it, fuckers.
Harley is our queen. Now we've talked about one of the greatest versions of Harley, let's talk about our version.
Yeah, our version. So we were going with a, this is definitely a Harley that's done with the Joker at this point. They've had their big breakup.
TM.
And she's moved on to her own crimes. A bit similar in the way they did with the Harley Quinn
An animated series, yeah.
Yeah.
We were also discussing, though, the relationship between her and Joker in this version not strictly being romantic. Like, yes, there was an element of that, and yes, it was an incredibly unhealthy relationship, but it was also, like, more of a, like, yes, the Joker was using her, but also the Joker in this version was like, oh, you were the therapist in this point, and also, like, you were completely loyal to me. I like having someone who is on my side. I like having that, but he did not, like, consider her an actual person and more, like, treated her as, like, oh, you'll do whatever I say and be loyal to me, and I like that.
I like someone I can vent to. Oh dear, Batman hit me really hard today.
And she's just here like, tell me more about your boyfriend.
Tell me more about your boyfriend.
This is a version of Harley, I think, who is very much like, you always cared more about the Batman as your eternal rival than me.
Yeah.
As your, like, teammate and confidant and also relationship partner at many points.
Yeah.
Like, this is a Harley who, like, has been through the prison system as, like, a psychologist, is, like, very intelligent in that way, but also has been through it many times as a villain, and has experienced both sides, has, like, we also discussed, like, that in this universe, this is not the first Suicide Squad, and this is not the only Suicide Squad. Like, the government, has done many versions of this, many of them have not worked, many of them have had people die, like, that is very common. This is the squad that has been a little bit curated. So this is the squad that they put together going, okay, this is a good swath of abilities that should cover a lot of ground. These are personalities that should, to a degree, like, mesh together. They shouldn't be, like, hugely opposed, which is a big mistake because this is the group who all like, prison system bad beyond just, we hate being imprisoned. It's, no, we can also understand a lot of, like, the problems with the prison system and, like, the problems with how we have been treated specifically.
Yeah.
We are going to write an expose on Twitter.
Yeah.
And also burn this building to the ground. So Harley, we were discussing, is the most knowledgeable about everything they're doing. She has been the longest in the Suicide Squad system specifically. She is a character who is very emotionally intelligent, who can pick up a lot about other people and help them with their problems, but also in that way is able to, like, conduct herself, in order to ingratiate herself to people, in order to, like, make them look at her a specific way and underestimate her, or make them like her. It is a little bit, manipulation-y, but, like, it is in a survival way, and also how to make you be the best you can be so you on this team with me survive.
Yeah.
This clown is very intelligent, is what we are saying, but also she's the heart of the team in the way that she is fun.
Yeah, she's still Harley.
She is still a clown. And we also talked about, one of her, like, things with the Joker at this point. They have had a big breakup. They have, like, they had a divorce over who gets to keep the hyenas, and Harley won.
Yeah.
But also Harley is like, I am the true clown. I do all the acrobats. I make actual funny jokes. You are a silly man who does not make good jokes that make people laugh.
So they constantly get in fights over who is the real clown. The correct answer is neither.
The correct answer is that neither is the proper clown, and we are considering that there will be one character in the franchise who knows a lot about clowns for no good reason. A character who has no, like...
Dick Grayson.
It is no... Well,
because he worked...
Dick Grayson was in the circus. He would go, you are not clowns.
He would be the one who's like, hang on a fucking minute. Why are you fighting over this? Neither of you are clowns. You're both fucking liars and assholes. Fuck
I know clowns. I'm going to get the clowns. Fuck it. I'm the clown now.
I'm the clown now.
Look at my funky little outfit.
Nightwing putting on a red nose, taking off the mask to reveal clown makeup, everyone freaking out.
I'm gonna do a routine. Yeah, we stand. But we do very much like the idea of the funniness of a character who reasonably should know nothing about clowns being like, no, I actually have very serious feelings about clowns and carnivals, and neither of you are a clown.
Neither of you are a clown. Stop pretending to be one.
Yes, but this is a version of Harley who, one, is more distant from the Joker, but also, two, like, the Joker has less power over her in this version.
Yeah.
And whether that's a matter of, like, him... overall, like, not having gaslit her as badly in our version. Like, we don't want to, speak the badness of their relationship, but we also want Harley to have a lot more agency.
Yeah.
In this universe that we are crafting.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's not a version where she is constantly like, I'm doing this to get back at the Joker, or I'm doing this to get away from the Joker. She is able to just do shit that she wants. There's the true clown badge, because she is the true clown, and this one says, at least I'm not a landlord, implying that being a landlord is worse than being a clown crime.
Yeah, a criminal clown.
And she's rad. But... yeah, I just decided she has lots of funny badges. She also has shoes that are an abomination because they go all the way up.
Noticed you also put the...
oh yeah, she has a bi badge.
Yeah.
Listen, this clown is bi, and good for her.
Fair.
And we also really like all the versions where she's dating Poison Ivy. We wanted to keep that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's, like, weirdly enough, one of the most, like, canon relationships that she's gotten.
Yeah, and like in a lot of versions, it's like, okay, we met in prison, we became friends in this system, we understand each other, and we've like been doing stuff a lot together for a long time. It also has that wonderful thing of Poison Ivy, who considers herself not to be a villain and arguably isn't. Oh yeah, well, now we get into a big decision I made with the character design, which is bold. She shaves her head. She wears a lot of colorful wigs. That's why her hair changes every like big scene change or like different environment.
Which is it is a brave choice.
It's also like a lot of versions have her take, like different versions of Harley have it that she's been electrocuted a lot. That is a theme that people like to keep, whether it is the Joker electrocuting her to make her crazy. Whoa. Fuck that. Or like her being electrocuted in like prison as like, this is rehabilitation therapy, and she's like, I went to medical school and no it isn't. And are things about, like, if you give a person a lot of electrotherapy, TM, to their head, you're gonna get, like, burns.
Yeah, exactly.
And hair is not going to grow correctly.
Yeah.
So we wanted to, like, think about things like that and think about, this is someone who went to medical school. This is a universe where they don't actually have a lot of, oh, we're putting the patient through therapy. And it's like, that's not therapy. That is not therapy. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And, I thought she deserves lots of funny outfits. So
Yeah.
she has lots of funny outfits.
Fair. 100%.
Even when she's going to the formal, like, I did a thing with her formal outfit here, which I'm very excited to get to in a minute. But, like, part of the character we wanted to keep is that she is a funny clown. She is also the character who, beyond the others, is most knowledgeable about the system that she is in, what is wrong with it, and, like, how it could be improved. She did go to medical school for many years. She is a doctor. But those are giant worms on the string, made into a jacket.
Oh, God.
Made into a big coat. And I love that for her.
Okay, fair. I can dig it.
I wanted also, like, a lot of these newer versions of Harley Quinn like to really go into the primary colors and get away from the old black and red suit that she always had with the Joker. And I really like that. I also very much like her remaking the black and red. And those are her colors. They're not the Joker's colors. He's purple and green.
Yeah.
Like, I really like her being bright and colorful. I like her, like, also being a little bit of a goth clown.
Yeah, but that's just because you like goths.
And clowns.
Yeah, exactly.
I like clowns so much.
And you want to mix them both.
Harley Quinn, my beloved.
Yeah, no, I think you've definitely knocked it out of the park with this design.
So, we're nearing the end here, so let's talk about, like, as a team, what they are.
Yeah.
And what we would think in a series they would be, like, working together. And, like, we talked a little bit about, like, the idea of them being put together against their will, but growing together as people. And part of that is that they're all a little bit like-minded. They all are viewed as, like, whatever crime they have committed and whatever skill they have, they are not really viewed by others outside of it, and that is kind of their, I think that's the real glue that joins them together. Harley Quinn is the glue of the team in the way that, she is very knowledgeable about the Suicide Squad and what they are doing. She is the veteran, and also she is the one who is, like, keeping an eye out on these younger members. But also, the team is glued together by shared experience.
Yeah.
So this is a team who, like, very quickly, I think, managed to mesh together. They aren't fighting for a long time. They will have, like, moments where they cross and they, can't figure things out and they, fight. Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of that with how we've set up Copperhead and Ravager.
Yeah.
Because Copperhead is much more willing to do things by herself, and she's much more willing to go in undercover and just stealth through that, which does not work in a team setting where you are forced to be the team leader, and if the team fails, that failure is on you, and failure means getting your head exploded.
We could also definitely go with the you remember Robin in what was the name? Young Justice? At the very start, where it's like they're supposed to be a team, and then you just hear him laughing and he's vanished, and they're all like, where the fuck did he go?
Yeah, and it is that team building moment of you cannot do this alone, but also you can't just keep blowing your team off because you put the rest of them in danger.
Yeah.
I really like that, and I think that should be incorporated.
Also, I just love the image of just them hearing laughing and then, like, turning around and Copperhead's gone and they're like,
They
what?
hear snake noises and they're like, what are snake noises? Why are you doing this? You don't have a rattle. Why do you sound like a rattlesnake? The answer is that she has, like, secret, like, voice chips.
She's got a
Sound
phone in her
recordings.
pocket ready, so that way when she, like...
She has a soundboard. There's a soundboard in the tail, specifically, like, if she touches a certain element with one of her talons, it makes a sound.
Tweet. Do-do-do.
Copperhead, my beloved. But yeah, this is a team who might butt heads, but very quickly gets into a groove and looks out for each other. This is also like a very strong found family vibe. Like I
Yep.
view them learning about each other's traumas and being like very incensed about it and being like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
I view very much them looking at Black Alice and being like, you're a baby, and her being like, I'm 21, I have been doing this shit like by myself for a long time. Please don't baby me, but also them being like, no. But also, like, it's not just that you're the youngest, it's that you've had a really bad go of it from this young age. Like, we all have, but especially, like, you are still in the thick of it.
Yeah.
You still have a chance to, like, have a normal life, and that was taken from you
Yeah.
because of your powers, not because of your, like, crimes specifically, but because of the threat you, present.
Okay. And I had something on the tip of my tongue, but I lost it.
We were talking about the team, we were talking about, like, the found family.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking that, like, originally, you know, some of them would be wanting to look to escape by themselves, and they only really manage to escape when it's all together that they come up with a plan.
Yeah. It is the inability to escape by yourself, because I feel like also one of Ravager's orders or like things that are with her is because, yeah, Ravager wants to get out, but she's super pragmatic and will do whatever it takes to survive. So one of her like things is, oh, if anyone escapes this team and escapes without the bomb going off, that's on your head. You will be the one getting punished for that. And so
Yeah.
it is her being treated as kind of like, yes, she is on this team, she is in this bad situation as everyone else, but she is also like, kind of expected to be a traitor to everyone else.
Yeah.
And to sell them out. So here we have the finished lineup.
Yeah, and it looks spiff and spanny.
Yes, I wanted to go a little bit with very different silhouettes for all the characters, but I am now noticing, looking at the lineup, that I did a lot of them with skirt-esque elements.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. Good for them. Plus, it's always good practice, I
Yeah,
guess.
I do think that was one thing I liked about the new movie was the costuming.
Yeah.
The new Suicide Squad movie. Something that really got me with the new one, like, there's so many good elements in the new movie, but it is just overwhelmingly problematic in, like, its demonization of island nations, and it's like, oh, this nation has bioweapons that they want to use against the US, and it's just presented as like, yes, there is the underlying element in that movie of like the US did war crimes and that's very bad, but ultimately those war crimes are hidden because it's safer for the people involved. And it is never like really gone in too much further as to like this island nation wanting to use bioweapons on the US, other than they want to hurt the US, they hate the US. Ooh, they're fanatical and evil. And like within that we see like the revolutionaries, and like there's a scene where they kill so many revolutionaries and like they just go on and like it's a haha, yeah, they're actually villains, and that is kind of a like moment of the movie. But it is what I was saying earlier about villains versus antagonists, where they are still the heroes of our movie, and they are let off the hook for killing all those revolutionaries and freedom fighters, who literally, like, two of them are naked and unarmed, and they are mercilessly killed. They are let off the hook because the leader of the resistance movement goes, I hate the government more than I hate you guys, which makes no sense from a writing standpoint or a character standpoint.
Yeah.
And makes me incredibly aggressive. But that is why we are leaning so much into villains versus antagonists. I think you cannot make a Suicide Squad where they are doing the greater good and they are still evil. They have to be morally grey.
Yeah, they have to be morally grey in it.
If your antagonist is the government, and yeah, the government is doing big war crimes, your characters cannot be merciless. They have to have, like, some sense of morality. They have to be, like, yes, they are products of, like, their upbringing, they are products of the system they are in. They are doing bad things.
Yeah.
But, like, they are not evil for the sake of being evil.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with
And
that.
that's my soapbox, which I will now get off of. I think we've done a pretty good job explaining what we want to do with this team,
Yeah, absolutely.
and the purpose they serve, and also why I love each and every one of them.
Yeah. And next time we'll be going over the second group
the second idea of how we thought a Suicide Squad could work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how this went, and we'll see you all in the next Worldbuilding Wednesday.